I'm joined by Conor Skehan, who is a columnist with the Sunday Independent. He's a former chair of the housing agency as well. And he had a piece in the paper at the weekend, and it came with the headline, "Banning cars may please the Green Lobby, but it's killing our town centres." Conor, explain yourself.
Discuss. Thanks very much. Well, obviously, as your readers know, I don't write the headlines. But what I am saying is that we need to have a more even-handed approach. They can't take something away with one hand without putting something back in the other. And the article was highlighting the fact that a lot of our thinking around, when I say our now, I'm talking about the planning profession, so we're all guilty of it, that a lot of our thinking about town centre planning focuses too much on the able-bodied and doesn't think about the totality of society, and that a lot of well-intentioned stuff to do with pedestrianisation and cycling provision doesn't account for the fact that when you make those decisions, you're leaving behind probably the majority. So a lot of those provisions do very little either to help elderly people in particular, and in fact it can often harm them, and then huge slices of society, particularly women with children, are very badly disadvantaged. So it's well written up in other literature, but planners, I'm afraid, don't listen to it enough.
So women are disadvantaged in the sense that women are more likely to be users of private cars, is it?
Yeah, well, not just that they're more likely to be, but women use cars very differently to men. So the vast majority of people who are carrying passengers in a vehicle are women, and they're often carrying either children or other older women. Very different use patterns.
But, I mean, the assumption there maybe is that they are using the car at a choice. Maybe they're using it out of necessity.
Absolute necessity. They have to.
But if you provided the alternative transport options, maybe they wouldn't be in the car.
Well, one of those problems, sorry, you're talking to somebody who doesn't drive a car, so I've never driven a car in my life, so I'm not trying to defend it for that reason. I'm trying to defend the rest of the population who I see going around. I was talking to a pharmacist the other day, and she said she just shut her business. Now, her own business had only been there for 40 years, but the actual shop had been a pharmacist for 150 years. Yeah. And she said all of her elderly patients stopped going there because they couldn't be dropped off outside. They'd come in, sit down, have a natter, get their stuff, be picked up by the daughter-in-law inevitably and taken away again. Can't do that. And the council quite reasonably said, but we've provided a perfectly new car park. Look, it's up the road, over the bridge, down the hill, and it's there. It's only 250 metres away. Might as well be in the next county.
But that's an argument, though, for providing car parking spaces outside every shop in the country, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, exactly. And
which is impractical.
No, it's not. Not at all.
You can't provide. How are you going to put a car parking space in front of every shop in the country?
Spend money. So a lot of your
create
listeners,
road space with money.
You can. A lot of your listeners will have taken themselves off down to places like Spain for their holidays. Mm-hmm. The smallest village in Spain, if you look closely, the reason you're able to sit outside the cafe in the evening and enjoy the beautiful stuff that goes with it is the little square you're sitting on has 3 stories of car parking underneath it, provided by the council. 15 to 20 million a pop, right? Costs a lot of money to do it, and they're invisible.
Yeah, I've been to some. There's the ski resort in the Sierra Nevada. This isn't a very relatable story, but anyway, you drive up to it and you basically disappear underground.
You do,
and it is remarkable.
75 cents for parking there for the afternoon. Municipal facility. Spend money.
You could spend that money, and you could dig underground. You'd have to spend an awful lot of money to build a 3-story.
I checked it out. 15 million for 300 car parking space. Not cheap.
Yeah, not cheap at all. No. And does the state have that money?
Well, I'm a committed urbanist. I've been trying to make small villages and towns a better place to live for my entire life, right? But what I'm recognising is that you've got to accommodate them as businesses, because a town makes no sense if it's got no business. And it's got no business if my pharmacist, little old lady, isn't coming in to her, because if they don't go to her because they can't park close to her, right, not literally outside her door, they're going to go off out to the next thing that the planners are giving out about, which is out-of-town shopping centres, where she definitely can park, and she definitely will be dry, and she definitely will be walking in a safe place to get as far as the pharmacy. That's the choice. We're killing the middle unintentionally. The very thing we're trying to say we're killing.
Does that €15 million figure for 300 car parking spaces, does that take into account, the cost that will come with delays in terms of building an underground car park in every town and
I build things every single solitary day of the week, and nothing is without delays, nothing is without cost increases, nothing is without inflation and risk. No, it's not. And some places the land will be readily available and some of it won't. So take, for instance, right, Kilkenny. Do you know Kilkenny at all?
I am vaguely aware of Kilkenny.
One of the reasons Kilkenny is such a staggering runaway success is over the years the council, the city council and the county council have invested in parking structures and parking spaces right at the back of the main street. What's the main street called? I can't remember.
In High Street, there's 2 multi-storey car parks right in the middle of town.
And that is the reason, that's the hidden success for places like Clonmel and Sligo and those kinds of places, is because people squared up to the responsibility to make sure there was really good car parking available literally just behind the main street.
There is, though, and you'll be aware of it, the law of induced demand. So you build the car park and then it will encourage more people to use it.
Yes. And use it means using the town centre.
Yeah, but we also are not creating more road space. And if the population is getting bigger, we're not creating more road space in the towns, because you can't knock down the streets. They're the shops that line the streets that already exist. And you're encouraging more people into the town in their cars. Now, what you're encouraging is more congestion.
Listen to what you're saying. I'm encouraging more people into the towns.
Congestion is what you're encouraging.
Hang on a second. I'm encouraging more people into the town.
Congestion.
That's a consequence. We're encouraging more people into the town. What we're trying to do is bring all of our towns and villages back to life, to make them be
You're
used
encouraging
first.
more people into the town in their car. They will always use some type of transportation. As I've said, people will never walk. But you put the car park there, and people who might otherwise walk or cycle are less likely to do it when the car park is there. That's what studies also show.
In countries where
people will take the more convenient option.
Even the countries with the highest level of cycle use in the world, right? The Netherlands never topped 16%. And that's only in some of the biggest cities. The Netherlands has the highest level of car ownership and usage in Europe. So if you look at the total view, cycling will always augment mobility, personal mobility. It will never replace it. And the day when it comes that every single solitary vehicle we have is electric, they'll still have to be parked somewhere.
Yeah, every single solitary vehicle, I don't think there's enough lithium in the world for us all to go electric.
If that day comes, they will still have to be parked somewhere, and that somewhere will have to be within a 250 metre walk of where their destination is.
But it kind of sounds like you're just sacrificing ambition here, on the rocks of practicality or past experience.
The exact opposite. You'll never achieve ideal outcomes by ignoring practical details. I used to give a course to my students about urban design, and it was called Big Ideas Where Millimetres Matter. You have to get the millimetric stuff right, otherwise the big thing will fail.
Yeah, but again, I come back to the point that I was making about providing car parking space, that we will never have towns and cities that are built around pedestrianisation and cycling if you build those car parks.
That's not true.
Because it will encourage people to drive.
No, that's not true. I'm the author of the 5-Minute City. I'm the guy who wrote the thing originally, and there's a cascading level of realistic services that you can provide. So you can only provide certain level of services within a 5-minute walk. Yes. That would be viable. But you can't build a Dunnes Stores, let's just take that for example, that would produce I won't give the ad, the lower prices, by bulk scale selling. You won't produce that without a catchment of over a certain amount who physically cannot all reach that in that distance. It's a physical impossibility.
Yeah, but again, if the car park is there, the studies will also show people will take the more convenient option, and the convenient option will be their car. Like the argument that some will make, and they're making it, as you can imagine on the text line, is that we need to make it inconvenient for people to drive, and it will force them to cycle, and thereby we build up habits, and people's commuting patterns change, then their priorities change in terms of where they want to live and how they shop and how they go about their daily life. And that's how we get to show
me the place in the world where that has worked, and I'll readily agree with you.
But maybe they'll suggest, why can't we be the first?
I've spent a lifetime taking my students to countries all over Europe to show them places and the degree of success you can reach with that. And the core word is the degree. And we can all stand in the middle of Copenhagen or the middle of Amsterdam and see exceptions. But when we go out into the suburbs of Copenhagen or the suburbs of Amsterdam, it's exactly the same as it is now.
That has been the experience up until now. Of the whole world up until now. But does our climate crisis that we find ourselves in not mean that actually the world is going to look very different in the future? And that we can't just look on what has existed heretofore and say, well, listen, the Netherlands never got beyond 16% of people cycling on a daily basis, therefore no one can realistically get beyond that. That actually the climate crisis necessitates us getting beyond that.
We can try to scare people into doing things that we want to force them to do. You use the word yourself. Force. Once you start to use the word force, you're probably pursuing the wrong path. Persuade, encourage, entice will always get people. As the saying goes, you'll always get much further with honey than vinegar.
Yeah, but a multi-storey underground car park for everybody is honey to the driver, not the cyclist.
Yeah. We are speaking out of both sides of our mouths. We're saying we want everybody to have electric vehicles. Where are we going to park the electric vehicles? Complete the sentence.
I don't know.
Run out of time.
We are out of time. Conor Skehan, listen, it's been interesting.